And we will retry our opening tap here. Ron Groover, Justin Porterfield, Kellen Milner, your officials, as we play afternoon hoops in the ACC out west. The month of March commences here in Maples Pavilion with the Mustangs and the Cardinal. SMU put 81 on Cal Wednesday night up in Berkeley, the second best scoring offense in the ACC, as Matt Cross dials it up from deep and lifts the lid off the scoring.
Well, this is a confident team. You want to look at a team that plays with confidence. SMU is one of them.
Raynaud and Blake's two of the three seniors that were honored pregame. Highlight the starting five for Stanford. Raynaud flashes the leather. Now backs in, Yigitolu.
Well, he shows you how versatile he is. He can score from three, so you crowd him, make him put it down, and he gets to the rim. Just does a great job of taking what the defense gives him.
SMU again without their leading scorer, Boopy Miller, who continues to miss time with the foot injury. The hope is to get him back for the regular season home finale against Syracuse next week. But SMU, despite Miller's absence, they still have 5 guys active that average double figures.
Yeah, it's nice to have that kind of backup and support, Chris.
SMU and Stanford, both first-year members of the ACC. Stanford coming from the old Pac-12. SMU coming from the American Conference. Chuck Harris takes it down the lane, sweeps it across, and the extra pass to the floor as time dwindles on the shot clock. And the possession arrow points the way of the Cardinal.
Well, that's a very good possession defensively for the Cardinal. They did a nice job of staying grounded, staying disciplined. And as you mentioned, they're playing against a team that averages double figures each guy. So they really have to be good at not trying to stop one player, but playing solid team defense.
SMU has won 6 straight away from Dallas. 7-1 in the ACC in true road games. Very impressive what they've been able to do under their first-year head coach, Andy Enfield. As Raynaud gets slipped up, it pops out, but he's headed to the free throw line.
Well, watch again, Maxime Raynaud, the Marietta moves. He's got you now. You get a bump and he spins off to the baseline. No help, baseline side. So he's forced to foul, but you kind of want to help and push your defender, push your opponent to the middle where you got a little more help. But Maxime was clever and got to the baseline side, and now he's getting rewarded. He's got 2 free throws.
Near 80% on the season from the free throw line. Kyle Smith, his first-year head coach, talks so highly of Maxime Raynaud, not only as a basketball player, but calls him the most talented human being he's ever been around. A computer science major, math minor. And he's got the first 4 for the Cardinal on senior day. Mid-post, Yigitolu draws 2. Edwards floats it. And the pass from Turkey denied inside by Raynaud. Sellers off the heel. And taken by SMU. Welcome to ACC basketball on the West Coast from Maples Pavilion. It's the SMU Mustangs and Stanford Cardinal. Matt Cross knocking down his second three-pointer of the opening minutes with Coach Ben Braun, Chris Sylvester, our entire crew. SMU, they find themselves on the bubble. This is a quad 2 opportunity for the Mustangs against the Stanford team that's 15-2 in this building.
Well, huge opportunity for SMU if they can get it done. I don't think Isaiah Sellers cares much about the SMU's opportunities now. That's a big-time move by Sellers on the opposite end.
Sellers, who played under SMU head coach Andy Enfield the last 2 years down at USC. Raynaud, the ball fake and the finish off the glass. And a timeout.
Yeah, good timeout by Andy Enfield. He wants to stop the momentum.
All right, we'll step aside. 2-point lead early for Stanford on the ACC network.
injured player, not a timeout, as it turns out. So quick stoppage of play, we're back.
Harris steps into the elbow jump shot, and it's taken by Jalen Blakes.
Yeah, great challenge by Maxime Raynaud using his 7-foot frame to challenge that shot.
Chisholm Okpara off the Stanford bench loses the handle, and Harris in transition lays it in.
Well, if you're Stanford, you've got to get it back in numbers. SMU will really push the ball in transition, 80+ a game, and a lot of those come off of defensive rebounds, turnovers, and transition baskets.
SMU without its leading scorer, Koopy Miller, as Maxime Raynaud rips the cords from deep.
It's senior day. Don't think he doesn't know that. His parents in here from France, and he's putting on a three-point exhibition already.
He's got 9 of the first 11 Stanford points on a perfect 3 for 3 from the field. Matt Cross, the veteran 24-year-old senior, with a sweeping hook off the window and in.
Well, he's been good early. He's 3 for 3, and he's been on fire. 2 knockdown shots and a tough shot over Jalen Blakes, who's a very good defender.
Cross transferred in from UMass, first team All-A-10 last season with the Minutemen. And it's a return to the ACC for Cross, who had been with Louisville and Miami previously. Okpara backs him in on this end. Shot clock into single digits. Jalen Blakes, the Duke transfer, has it knocked away. Another steal for SMU.
Well, nice job by SMU. They've been very active with their hands. They're a much improved defensive team under Andy Enfield.
Just outside the top 40 of the net at the start of the day around college basketball. Other bubble teams have already had some poor showings here on the first day of March. Oquendo, that's a deep one, and he comes up short.
Nice challenge by Agrawal. Stanford doing a good job at challenging early. You have to, because SMU can shoot it.
Cardinal have opened 4 of 6 on this end. Sellers off the side of the backboard. SMU beat Stanford 85-61 exactly 1 month ago in Moody Coliseum back home in Dallas. B.J. Edwards. And a foul on the floor before the attempt will officially take us to our first timeout of the afternoon.
Well, you gotta like Maxime Raynaud. He can find ways to score, but if you don't guard him, he'll cue it up from 3, and he knows what to do. Count it. Well into the game because you're excited, your family's there, you want to, they've given you so much and you want to repay what they've done for you, and it's an emotional day. So Maxime Raynaud already 9 points. So far he's handling it pretty well.
Well, Stanford takes it away from Matt Cross out of the timeout. Agrawal keeps it alive, and Raynaud skips it in for Chisholm Okpara. And it rolls off. Jarrell Colbert, K-State transfer, is checked in for SMU along with Tibet Goriner, the sharpshooter who played the last 3 seasons about 20 minutes from here at San Jose State.
I like the activity. Both teams really scrapping defensively. But, if you want to win these kinds of games, it's not just going to be who can outscore somebody. You've got to get some stops, Chris. And these teams are capable defensively. Both teams excellent on the defensive end.
Benny Gealer is also in for Stanford out of that first timeout. Chuck Harris takes him inside and flutters it in.
He's tough. He can do that one-on-one. You've got to get a little help there, but he can get in the paint and go over the top of you.
Harris matched his season high with 21 in Berkeley on Wednesday night. Raynaud has 9 of Stanford's first 11. And his first miss comes off the front rim to B.J. Edwards. Tibet Goriner catches and lays it in.
That's the second time that SMU scored in transition.
Ponies have strung together 6 straight points to go up 3 here on the road early. Ryan Agarwal knocks down the 3.
Well, he can do that. He's a three-point shooter. When he gets in rhythm, he's got great range.
His 34th tray of the season. With Stanford's second triple of this first half on their home floor. Hit 9 of them here on Wednesday night in a win over Boston College. Edwards out to Harris with the shot clock into single digits. Off balance jump shot, almost banked it in, tapped around, comes back to Harris, and last touch by SMU.
You see how tough SMU is to the rim. Stanford caught a little bit of break there, ball going out of bounds, but you've got to get a body on and you got to keep people in front of you. The hardest thing to do in college basketball is contain one-on-one. So you better be a pretty good help defensive team and stay grounded. Stanford now with Raynaud really getting off to a great start. We'll try to play through him if possible.
Stanford has already won 4 more games this season than they did all of last year as Raynaud puts in the southpaw flip.
Well, that's the recipe for success. You put the ball in his hands, good things happen. You double, he's a great passer, you get 3-point opportunities. You don't double, he'll make you pay.
Second leading scorer in the ACC behind Marcus Burke of Notre Dame. Gealer Blakes throws it down on the fast break. Andy Enfield wants to talk things over. A senior day stamp for the Duke transfer.
Well, how about Maxime Raynaud? You put the ball in his hands, he'll drop you off at the street corner and score on you. But if you're Jalen Blakes, don't give him an opportunity. Highway robbery for 2. Coaches on the staff, Kurt Karras, he says, you know, coaches, players love playing for him. He gives his players so much freedom. He builds trust, but he holds his guys accountable. That's why his teams have been successful at every stop.
And he firmly believes that this SMU team belongs in the NCAA tournament. Right now, Joe Lunardi has them as a next 4 out team, but still some time for the Mustangs to make some noise and add to the resume. Late in the clock here out of the Andy Enfield timeout. Chuck Harris has to launch off 1 foot, and the teardrop falls through.
Well, that's a tough make at the end of a really tough possession. Stanford defending well, but again, good timeout by Andy Enfield, settling his team down and then coming back and scoring 2 to narrow this game.
Chuck Harris in his second year at SMU after 3 years at Butler. Raynaud a slingshot 3, and it's taken by Edwards. Well, Harris had his pocket picked. Numbers for the Cardinal. Nathan Kamen, big fella, sharing the floor with Maxime Raynaud. Okpara attacks. Corner pop for Benny Gealer.
Well, that's a great look by Chisholm Okpara, losing his balance, but kept it enough to find one of their sharpshooters, Benny Gealer, spotting up in the corner for 3.
His 32nd tray of the season. The former walk-on was held scoreless when these 2 teams met in Dallas last month. Edwards elevates. Igutolu had it for a moment. It is a reload here for SMU. One of the best offensive rebounding teams in the country. Igutolu bends the rim.
Well, how about the assist? That's a big-time look over the top. You're trying to stop the penetration of the guard, and then you throw it to the rim. Good job.
7'2" freshman from Turkey has scored in double figures 10 of his last 11 games. Has really come on strong here down the stretch run of the ACC season. Raynaud takes him off the bounce and missed everything. Was trying to draw some contact there.
Well,
he's going to stay with Stanford.
Yeah, he thought he got some contact on it. But watch the look of Okpara, who is falling out of bounds, and he finds Benny Gealer, who's a knockdown 3-point shooter. And then obviously on the other end, you see over the top, tremendous contact, eye contact, and finish.
Harris sits for SMU. Maxime Raynaud will get his first breather for Stanford in the opening half. And Agarwal juggling the inbound pass, turns it over.
Yeah, that's really good defense. If you're Stanford, though, you got to have some avenues out there, not many guys open. everybody running the corner and running to the ball. Good job defensively by SMU, playing denial defense.
Two veterans have led the way on each side through this opening half. You get Tolu. It rolls off. Big man slow to get back. Blake steps into a three. A.J. George, the outlet pass across. One more to B.J. Edwards, who is fouled by Jalen Blakes. And he's given a technical foul after the reaction to the whistle. Well, you don't have much leeway to show emotion after a foul call at this level.
No, even if it's senior day, I think he said, "Ref, it's senior day. Come on, I got to be a little emotional." But I think Jalen Blakes just got caught up in the motion. He's a tough competitor, but missed the shot, then didn't really quite get back in transition, and then he thought he went up clean with two hands. So officials didn't like the reaction.
Kario Oquendo, well-traveled senior from Titusville, Florida, taking the technical free throws. Jalen Blakes didn't play when Stanford visited SMU last month. They really missed him in that game.
Yeah, he's too instrumental for them, Chris. But I think, Kyle Smith talking to the officials saying, look, let players get a little bit emotional. You're allowed a little bit of reaction. He thought he went up there with really good contact with the ball, which he did, but there was some body contact. But it was the demonstrative reaction that just was a bit too much for the officials. So play on, but tough break.
Kyle Smith has praised Jalen Blakes for bringing a winning culture to this Stanford program. Spent the last 3 years at Duke, was part of an Elite Eight team last year, Final Four team as a freshman.
He's done a great job. He was Pac-12 Coach of the Year, and he has won wherever he's been. Chris, he has won at Columbia. He's won at USF, San Francisco. I mean, he's won at Washington State. Now he's winning at Stanford. I mean, he's just like Andy Enfield, two of the top coaches you probably don't hear as much about, but they're great coaches, and he's been just really money everywhere he's been.
Akpara down the baseline, walled off by two defenders. Finds Sellers, and he missed everything. Already 5 ties and 5 lead changes this first half. Oquendo knocks down the three.
Yeah, really nice job in transition. Good floor spacing. You always try to spot somebody up in the corner because that makes it tougher to defend, and they really rotated the basketball and got an easy look for three.
That brings Kario Oquendo to 1,400 career points. Gealer, clean look. He cashes in.
Benny Gealer thinks it's senior day, I think, for junior day. I mean, he'll get it going. He can score it. When he's open, he's got a really nice look from three.
Edwards can't answer back. Akpara claims the miss. Gealer has a chance to be an X factor for this Stanford team as they try to make some noise ahead of the ACC tournament. They were in the at-large discussion in early February before a tough stretch where they had lost 4 of 6. Now the net sits in the low 80s. Kamen backs in Yigitolu. Out to Akpara. And he
yeah, nice look from Aiden Kamen out to his teammate. Really a much improved shooter. Chisholm Akpara is knocking down 4 threes like it's a regular activity.
Right, a season-high 15 Wednesday against BC. A.J. George on the drive. And it altered at the rim.
Yeah, nice job by Chisholm Akpara. He was beat, but he never gave up in the play. He still managed to get a hand on the ball and block it.
Raynaud and Harris getting set to check back. Kamen into traffic, picked up by Cross. SMU on the move, Cross corkscrews and a finger roll. This track meet continues from the farm.
No, neither team is showing any signs of slowing this game down. They both like to play in transition, play fast.
Both shooting north of 50% as Kevin scores off the window.
Good look by Ryan Agarwal. Nice drive, nice delivery, right to the rim.
Inside of 7 minutes to play in our opening half. Edwards wraps it around. Yigitolu cannot catch it. Here comes Sellers. Look out below. A two-hand finish. Another flush for Sellers. And another timeout, SMU. Stanford sizzling on senior day.
Well, sure are. And you got Matt Cross that's able to get to a basket, scoring almost double figures, but you got on the other end Isaiah Sellers, who knows what to do with the dunk. Yeah, well, they came down to say hi to us before the game. They're so thrilled because they normally watch their games back home at 3 in the morning, tape nothing, watch it all live, but they're so happy to be here. But there were some tears in his mom's eyes, and as you asked me, Chris, that happens on senior day a lot.
Both teams have shot it well early as Oquendo's floater won't go. Traore taps it skyward, and it's recovered by Sellers.
Yeah, nice job of Maxime Raynaud just getting up a little taller and keeping it off the glass and off and out of the SMU players' hands.
Cardinal have hit 12 of their first 21 attempts from the field. The double team comes at Raynaud. Agarwal's the open man, and it passes in.
Yeah, very unselfish play. 2 guys rotating the basketball, never stuck. Ball never stuck, Chris.
This is a 13-2 burst put together by the Cardinal. Cross off the bounce. And Raynaud somehow saved it in. Sellers skips it. Akpara wisely throws it off A.J. George.
Yeah, Stanford never really had possession that whole possession, but every time each player had to make a save, they knew how to throw it at least to a white player in a white jersey or off a player in a blue jersey. Nice job. As you can see, Akpara can't quite get the handle, but he said, I don't have anybody to throw it to, so I'm going to throw it off of a Mustang.
I actually think he was trying to get that to Ryan Agarwal.
No, I'm going to give him credit.
Okay.
Listen, we can agree to disagree, but I think he was initially. Yeah, you might be right.
Raynaud across the floor. It sets up Sellers, and that's shooting practice for the USC transfer.
Well, I know one thing. Raynaud did try to put that ball in his teammates' hands, and he knew what to do as well. Nice job of passing by Stanford.
Sellers admitted there would be a little extra juice going into this one against his former head coach, Andy Enfield. Spent the last 2 years with Enfield down in Southern California at USC.
Well, that happens in our game.
Lead is double figures for Stanford. Edwards has to hoist. Shot clock violation.
Well, Maxime Raynaud did a nice job, Chris. He just put his hands straight up. He didn't try to block the shot. You just try to go up and affect the shot. Very, very impressive. And that's what you do when you've got a guard that wants to get you off your feet. Just go up and challenge the shot. You don't need to block it. And with a short clock, he altered the shot. And I think he was applauded by Isaiah Sellers. Thought that was pretty good defense.
Akpara slashing inside, but dragging the pivot foot. Whistled for traveling.
Official, little warning to the SMU bench, like, I got that call. I don't need any help from the peanut gallery. Been over there, Chris, many times, and sometimes had to quiet my assistants down. They get a little emotional, but you've already called one technical, so you don't want to be on the other team having the officials return the favor. So nice warning by the officials.
B.J. Edwards finds Matt Cross. Traore on the offensive glass, hit on the way back up. Johan Traore, also from France, 6'11" junior, third program in 3 years. Played under your old assistant, Joe Pasternak, at UC Santa Barbara
Yes,
last
he
season.
did. I remember him, but, to see him, making his mark now, as you mentioned, players go on, they transfer sometimes, and they end up playing sometimes for their former head coach. That happens. It happened with Stanford and Andrei Stojakovic having to face each other a couple of times. But, in this game, players do transfer, and they get better. And you like to see players get the opportunity. And I think coaches start out, if they recruited you, they want to see you successful. I don't think they want to see you successful against them. But I think they appreciate your ability to get better.
Traore has seen his minutes dwindle over the last month, has been battling a hip injury.
He's a big player. He's 6'11", 235. He shores up the interior for Andy Enfield, there's no question.
Stanford north of 60% from the floor this first half. Raynaud can't hit that one.
Yeah, it's good defense by SMU.
Harris, deep three. Off the heel. Recovered by Gealer. Stanford playing this first half at an uptick in tempo.
Yeah, they're trying to take advantage. Obviously, if they're playing without Doopy Miller, they'd like to push the ball a little bit, playing without their floor general SMUers.
Late in the clock for the Cardinal. Kamen knifes inside and lays it in.
How about that from the 6'11" forward, putting his shoulder down and getting an edge to the rim. Nice finish.
Like Kamen just might be the five-man of the future for Kyle Smith, redshirt freshman, 6'10" from Andover, Massachusetts. And Harris out of control. Whistle for Traveler.
Yeah, good job by the official.
Stanford red hot on senior day from the farm. 60% from the field. And a 10-point first half lead over the SMU Mustangs.
You know, that's getting it done. That's production. And, you know, you need that in an emotional game that's got a lot riding on it. Senior day, you just got to have guys step up, and they've done that.
Stanford has been very tough to beat in this building. 15-2 at home. Only one loss on their home floor in ACC play. Agarwal down the shoot for two.
Great finish by Ryan Agarwal to the rim. Split two defenders to get there.
Largest lead for Stanford. Cardinal go up by a dozen. How does SMU weather the storm these final 2.5 minutes?
Well, they've got to take their time, maybe get some fouls, get to the free throw line as well. But they're doing a good job right there, like they're getting into the paint and scoring. It's just a good play. You're not going to knock down a lot of three-point shots, but get in the paint and pull up and hit the mid-range.
8 first half points now for Chuck Harris. Gealer. Third opening half three, and that was from way outside.
That was from the Tara Vanderveer logo.
Cross can't answer back. Traore grabs the second effort. Igatolu. Harris works it. Edwards on a sidestep and a bullseye.
Great job, great patience by B.J. Edwards. The junior just did a nice job waiting for the defense to clear and knocked it down. Big basket for SMU.
Benny Gealer with the big burst off the bench. 3 triples, 9 points for the former walk-on. Raynaud flashes it. Comes up short on the push shot, and Igatolu's fouled by Kamen.
Well, he's trying to plead to the officials that there was a little contact in the last play, but you know, you got to really like, if you're Stanford, that Benny Gealer has now stepped up and just showing his marksmanship, his ability to stretch the floor. He makes things happen for his team when he can knock that shot down. He's a leader. He's really an improved player. Point guard, fills in for Jalen Blakes when he's not on the floor, and he also you know, can be a point guard that can make his team go. He's done a great job for the Cardinal.
Stanford has hit 7 trays this first half. They only average 8 made threes a game.
No, and that's something, you know, if you give them an opportunity, there's a reason why, too. Teams are taking that away because they're pretty good shooting teams sometimes. And so you don't get the looks when you're a good shooting team. But if you're Andy Enfield now and you're SMU, you've got to close this gap going into halftime. You'd like a little bit of momentum. You can cut this to single digits. You want that. And if you can just grab some momentum going into the locker room.
Andy Enfield, Kyle Smith keeping pace with each other. Moving over from the old Pac-12. Kyle was at Washington State last year. Andy at USC. Harris sticks the straightaway 3.
Yeah, big time shot again. You're SMU, and you got the ability to Chucky Harris to knock that down. That's just what the doctor ordered. Now you're putting a little pressure on Stanford to score.
Harris, one of the top three-point shooters in the country. A baseline finish.
He saw his opening, Chris, and he got there in a hurry. Big-time finish.
But a bounce displayed by Sellers this first half. Oquendo quiets the home crowd with a downtown hit.
Well, somebody forgot to tell SMU that to go away. They're not going away. They're answering shot for shot. So now if you're Stanford, you're going to probably play the entirety of this shot clock and leave SMU with a very short shot clock coming back. But you can pretty much rail this thing down and get the last shot before SMU comes back.
That make brings the Ponies back up to 50% from the field. Gealer, heat check. Oh, it deadened off the back iron, almost rolled in. SMU can hold for the final take. Oquendo on the attack. And whistled for traveling before the attempt.
Well, obviously, if he jump stops, he's probably going to get a chance to draw a foul, but lost his footing. But we'll see when we come back. Stanford with the ball and a short clock. Raynaud doesn't know it's his ball. Well,
hey, the ACC women's basketball tournament is on the way. It's coming up from Greensboro, North Carolina. The Ally ACC women's basketball tournament. It begins this Wednesday. First and second round games, as well as two of the quarterfinal matchups right here on ACC Network. Final seconds of the first half, and Sellers put too much on the three. And
Maxime Raynaud's hands and make somebody else beat you.
SMU closed that first half on a 9-2 stretch. See if the Mustangs can carry over some of that late opening 20 momentum to the start of this second half. A team that's lost just once all season in conference play on the road as Yigitolu gets hit. And free throws on the way for the 7-2 Frosh from Turkey.
Well, they did a good job of getting the ball inside. They were very patient. Stanford doing a good job on the ball screen defense, blowing up the screens. But then when the roll took place, it's hard to guard 7-2. So you've got to get an extra defender. Raynaud and Gealer out on the ball, but somebody else got to slide in and try to bottle them up.
Yigitolu had missed the first couple games at the beginning of the season, waiting for NCAA clearance. Averaged a double-double while playing with the professional club back home in Turkey last year. Was a late add in Andy Enfield's first off season with the Mustangs.
Now, it's been his Achilles. He's struggled a little bit from the line, but you know, he's a big player. You can run a lot of your things through him. He's tough.
Only 3 points so far for Yigitolu, who averages close to 11 a game. There's a foul on Yigitolu, trying to cross blades with Maxime Raynaud in the mid-post.
Well, I was talking to Coach Eric Raynaud, the veteran coach from Stanford. He's asked him why he thought Maxime was so good, and he said he's been really coachable. He's worked hard on his position. He's made it tougher now to guard because he's holding his ground. He's using his lower body, not his upper body, to get open.
Chizumak Paro came off the bench that first half, starts the second on the floor, and Maxime Raynaud picks up where he left off.
Yeah, how about the no hesitation? You're a step late, Chris, and that's what he was defensively. SMU was. He just knocks it down. No hesitation for Maxime Raynaud.
Benny Gealer also out there for Stanford instead of Jalen Blakes. Yigitolu disrupted inside. Loose ball caroms back to him, and now Gealer whistled for a reach-in foul.
Well, that was a much better job, though, just the fact that it went inside again to the 7-footer. But Chizumak Paro was there on the catch to disrupt it and dislodge the ball, but Stanford ended up committing a foul nonetheless. But much better defense on the post interior.
Akpara exits. Aiden Kamen, the 6'10 forward, back in for Stanford. Edwards finds Cross in the corner. Going baseline. Raynaud disrupted the attempt. Yigitolu there for the loose change and the follow.
Well, he did a nice job. That was a great move by Cross. Raynaud rejected it, but ended up back in SMU's hands for 2.
Raynaud has 3 blocks here on senior day. B.J. Edwards, one of the best stealers in the country, and they will count that plus the foul.
Well, Kyle Smith does not like that call. He's saying there was a couple of steps right there. Holy smoke, but look at the block by Maxime Raynaud. He said, no, you're not coming in my house. But then there's obviously that put back, but here it is. There's the step through, 1, 2, come down. And, you know, I don't know about that one. You might have a case if you are Kyle Smith, but they did wave it off. Thank goodness. Justice prevails.
Maybe at the next level?
Yeah.
So no basket for Edwards, but he does have a takeaway. 20th in the country in steal percentage is B.J. Edwards, the junior from Knoxville, Tennessee. Cross backs in Sellers. Out to Oquendo. And a foul underneath. We'll keep it on this end with SMU.
Well, that's unfortunate for Stanford. That was a very good defensive possession for Stanford, other than the foul underneath the basket. You know, you really don't need to foul. Actually, it was a foul going against SMU. That's what I thought. Andy Enfield thought it was the other way around. Yeah. I was confused, Chris.
So was I.
Yeah. Well, now Andy Enfield's turn to voice his opinion, and I think he'll get his 2 cents in here. But now they are, let's see, you know, they're going to say, we're going to stick with the call. Andy Enfield wants an explanation. Well, play on.
The first half had 6 ties, 7 lead changes. Stanford built a lead as large as 12 in the first half, but SMU was able to trim it down to 6 at the break. Josiah Sellers on a skip out to Raynaud. On the drive, has it slapped away. Shot clock down to 3. Sellers, it spins off.
Now, Maxime Raynaud thought there was some contact on that last play. Officials letting him play a little bit now.
Edwards along the end line, and he stepped out.
Well, I love that defensive action, because what you're doing, Chris, you trap the ball screens and you force baseline. Guess what? That's a triple team. You've got the 2 defenders and the baseline. I think that's sound defense. Both teams, by the way, exploiting this type of defense. But that's a really good strategy.
The 10th SMU turnover. Raynaud.
I love that action. High-low, impossible to guard. No help side. Kemen into Raynaud for the sure 2. Jump hook.
Game high 16 for the 2nd leading scorer in the ACC. Harris catches. Takes Sellers to the glass for 2.
How about that move by Chuck Harris? I mean, the show and go, the hesitation and go. You defend him on the perimeter and he just attacks you at the rim.
5th-year senior with over 1,700 career points between time at Butler and that SMU. Colbert not happy with the last foul call. Kyle Schmidt's wondering why a technical wasn't given after Jalen Blakes was hit with one that first half.
Yeah, but look at that high-low right in there. There's no help side. I mean, you're caught in the inside, and I think that's great strategy to go to Maxime Raynaud in the high-low. I think what they're talking about on the sideline now is there was a reaction to that last play, and they said, look, our man gets a technical. How about their guy? Not a bad point.
Jalen Blakes, one of the 3 seniors on the Stanford roster, finally back on the floor.
Yeah, he's had quite some time off.
And now Raynaud tripped up. It's another foul on Colbert.
Well, that's tough, Chris. When you've been sitting on Jalen Blakes, have been sitting an awfully long time. And, you know, when you get the technical and you add to your foul total, players need to remember that. Tax on an extra foul, but can Jalen Blakes get back in the rhythm of this game? And he's been sitting an awfully long time.
Blakes is 3rd on the team in scoring. Raynaud misfires from the baseline. Here comes Chuck Harris and SMU. Cross underneath. Kemen rips it away. Agarwal, high lob, low post.
Great look by Ryan Agarwal. He waited, he read the defense, who's fronting. Maxime Raynaud goes over the top for the delivery.
He's got 18. Edwards entry pass. Oquendo recovers it. Chuck Harris blocked by Barrett.
Stanford really on top of their game defensively, Chris. They're everywhere.
Agarwal trying to feed Raynaud again. This time the entry pass intercepted. Harris going coast to coast. And deflected out by Stanford. SMU will have it on the other side, but the Cardinal have built this lead back to 8.
You like Maxime Raynaud? Well, don't front him because he'll drop you off and flush it on you for 2. I love nothing more than getting his player back, his junior back for action.
Mustangs hope to get Miller back as quickly as Tuesday's regular season home finale against Syracuse. Hey, the Nothing But Net crew will be in Greensboro for the Ally ACC Women's Tournament starting on the ACC network. They'll have pregame, halftime, and postgame analysis throughout the tournament. Big shakeup of late on the women's side with Notre Dame losing their last 2 games, allowing NC State to jump to the top of the ACC standings.
You never know what's going to happen down the stretch of the year, and that's why this game is so big, because this has NCAA implications, and you want to make sure that you want to be on the inside, not the outside.
Oh, dangerous pass, and SMU picks it off.
Yeah, it was lazy. That just was a really nonchalant pass. No need for that. Wasn't that much pressure on you.
Oquendo to the block for Cross. Dispossessed and picked up by SMU. Harris stepping inside, lobs it for Traore, and 2 more free throws for the big fella.
Well, I'm so impressed with SMU's athleticism, Chris. They make it tough on you, and they're quick to the ball. They get to a lot of the 50-50 balls. You heard about coaches talking 50-50 balls, but you know, it favors the team that's going to win. Usually gets most of them, and SMU's really quick to the basketball.
Traore spent his freshman season under Bruce Pearl at Auburn, was a 5-star prospect coming out of high school. All Big West honorable mention at UC Santa Barbara last season. Has provided some valuable bench minutes in this game for Andy Enfield.
Well, here's a full court press. SMU had some success the last time. Stanford got very careless with the basketball, but they're going to try to employ this press again, see if they can turn over Stanford again.
All 7 second-half points for Stanford, courtesy of Maxime Raynaud, who leads all scorers with 18 in this game. Shot clock into single digits. Gealer had 3 triples that first half. Akpara.
How about that shot at the end of the shot clock, as the shot clock is winding down, about to go off.
Edwards off the heel. And last touched by Cross.
Well, I really like this. This is great action by Stanford. I mean, you get down to the shot clock, there's just 2 seconds to go, and I thought SMU did a great job full court pressing back to their defense and only having Stanford play on a short clock, but they managed to beat the clock.
9 trays for Stanford this afternoon. Sellers. Rattles the lamps outside Maples Pavilion.
Osiah Sellers with the drive, and it finished to his teammate Maxime Raynaud.
A 20-piece for Raynaud. 17th time this season he's reached 20 points. Harris zigzags and kicks. Stanford relentless on this end. Down to 5 on the timer, and Gealer caught with his hand in the cookie jar.
Yeah,
that's a
tough foul, Chris, because as you said, you were just saying, describing the action. I mean, they're playing great defense. This is one of the better defensive games Stanford's played. But they had a brilliant game last game against Boston College. But they're playing really good defense. And what do? You foul with 5 seconds to go on the clock. You just got to stay disciplined through the clock. Make your opponents make the mistake or take an ill-advised shot or a challenge shot.
Ryan Agarwal checks back in for Benny Gealer. Stanford has stretched this lead back to double figures with 13:20 to play. Edwards around the high screen. Harris has to launch. Traore, another offensive rebound. Beautiful pass as Harris found Cross for 2.
That's why second shots are backbreakers, Chris. You do a good job in defensive rebound. Now it's Stanford trying to expand a double-digit lead. Now it's down to single digits. Now the pressure's back on Stanford.
SMU has 13 second chance points in this game. Raynaud has it knocked loose. Mustangs on a fast break, and Edwards lays it in.
Now don't look now. You've got a 2-possession game just like that. SMU won't quit. They'll not go away. They defend you, they scrap, and they are playing without their leader, Boopy Miller. They're playing a heck of a basketball game.
4 more steals for B.J. Edwards, 2 shy of 70 on the season.
Well, SMU is in the zone, Chris. They're in the zone defense.
And they create another takeaway. It's Edwards leading the fast break again. Traore crashing to the glass and draws another foul. It's on Maxime Raynaud. No, they say Akpara, who is also in the vicinity. It was Raynaud with the reaction, but Akpara's handed the personal foul.
Well, yeah. Let's look at the break. Here's the steal on the one end and the fast break on the other. You can see transition basketball, SMU's best friend. They really are great in transition.
Well, SMU, a top 10 free throw percentage team in the country. They have worked into the bonus with 12 minutes to play here in the second half. That last foul was in the act of shooting, so 2 for Traore, who's got all of his points at the free throw line today.
Yeah, and you can see the balance of SMU, Chris. Again, we've mentioned with Miller out, where are they going to get their points? But they get them. They get great balance, and it doesn't really slow them down defensively, even though Miller's a great defender. This team is putting a lot of pressure on Stanford. Stanford's done a good job up until now handling it, until just the last couple of possessions have been a little sloppy and careless, and SMU's taken advantage of it.
Johan Traore, 7 for 8 at the free throw line. Back to a 4-point game.
They're playing the zone. Now SMU's back to the zone. They're going to match up, and they're going to play the zone. Andy Enfield talked to us before the game, said he'll play some zone if he has to.
Akpara couldn't quite muscle it in. Kamen has it on the floor. A lot of contact, and Stanford unable to hoist one up in time. It's a shot clock turnover.
Andy Enfield's going to talk about it. His
work that'll be on the heels of second-ranked Duke hosting Florida State after this one. Tight one on the farm coach. SMU's defense has trimmed what was a double-figure Stanford lead back down to 4.
Well, they average 8 steals on the year, and they've already got 7. B.J. Edwards with 4 of them. So that's been a big turnaround on their defense.
Stanford has given it away 6 times since the halftime break.
Stanford in the zone, Chris. They've gone out into the zone.
Late whistle for a foul after Jalen Blakes thought he had a clean takeaway.
And I think if you're Kyle Smith, you might talk about that. Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good play. Might have a point. I mean, I like the defensive change up to the zone and looked like it created a turnover right off the bat.
It's the 8th against Stanford this half, so Tibet Goriner, who's only taken 4 free throws all season, will toe the line for the 1-and-1 here.
That's a big call. Right? Instead of going the other way, you got a foul call.
Misses the front end, but it ricochets back to Harris. Oquendo drives. Count it! 2+1 for Kario Oquendo.
Aiden Kemman had a chance to secure that rebound. Didn't get two hands on it. Went through his hands and right into the hands of SMU, and they capitalized.
SMU is now +13 in second chance points.
Well, that's a tough stat if you're Stanford. You're giving the ball back to SMU, but you're not giving it away as much as SMU's going out and taking it. This has been a heck of a half for SMU defensively.
9 straight for the Ponies on the farm.
Yeah, the pressure is really wearing down Stanford, and Stanford's got to do a better job of handling it. But now they've got Jalen Blake's back on the bench, Chris. Keep your eye on that, because they have to play without their floor general and best ball handler.
Agarwal lets it fly. Raynaud taps it out. A second effort for the Cardinal.
Zone defense still being employed by SMU.
Agarwal has it knocked out of his hands with 13 on the timer. Cardinal haven't scored in more than 3 minutes here, Ben.
No, and the SMU is going to a zone's a good call. You're going to then keep it out of Maxime Raynaud's hands. Make somebody else beat you.
Raynaud. 3 to shoot. Southpaw flip comes up short.
Yeah, you can see Stanford's out of rhythm offensively, Chris. They have not been in the same rhythm that they were in the first half.
Harris leans in. More free throws for the Mustangs.
Yeah, again, Kyle Smith not happy. Benny Gealer not happy with the minimal contact and the foul call. I think what officials want, what coaches want, Chris, more than anything is they're okay with that call on this end if it goes back the other way on the other. And I feel that Kyle Smith is making that point, like it hasn't gone both ways. And as a coach, I know the feeling. It's you'll live with any call that's made as long as it's being evened up.
Jalen Blake's, after a short rest, comes back for Stanford.
Yeah, you can't let him sit too long, because this game, you know, can turn around in a hurry. So you got to put Jalen back on the floor. I think that's a good move. You take your chances. But Stanford's got to do a better job now against handling pressure and getting a good look, because they got a lot of good looks in the first half. They're struggling to get those same looks this half.
11 straight for the Mustangs to take their first second half lead.
Yeah, 2-3 zone. They're playing high in the wings.
Blake's the zone buster, but he comes up short. Numbers for SMU. Oquendo, a finger roll finish. And a timeout, Kyle Smith. SMU 13 straight to take a 3-point lead at Stanford.
He said this is a game of runs, and it is a game of runs. SMU with a 13-0 run. Going out, getting the lead. They're up by 3.
Second half action in the ACC and on the farm in the midst of an SMU flurry. 13 straight for the Mustangs to take their first lead of the second half here.
Well, you know, Chris, there's good turnovers and bad turnovers. Unfortunately, and what are bad turnovers at number 1 are unforced, and number 2, they lead to baskets, and that's what's happened. The turnovers have plagued Stanford in both those regards.
SMU has outscored Stanford 21-12 coming out of halftime.
There's the defense again, zone defense, and the infield's going to stay with the zone defense. It's been very effective.
Well, Raynaud is automatic from that mid-post spot.
Well, that's a great look. I mean, that's a great adjustment. Timeout by Cal Smith. He said, look, let's get in the high post. Jalen Blakes was there the last possession, but he put his big fella in there, and he knew exactly what to do. Drained it.
First points in over 3 minutes for Stanford. Oquendo on a bounce. Traore fouled again. Free throw attempts 9 and 10 on the way for Johan Traore, who has come off the bench and does not have an official field goal attempt in this game because every time he's triggered it up, he's been hit.
No, and that's what he does. He gets the ball in the basket, but that's probably a good foul for Stanford. You're just going to get a layup, so you make him shoot free throws. But how about the discrepancy, and I call it a discrepancy, but it's really, I think, indicative of the game, Chris. You've got SMU now that's going to the line for the 13th time, and you've got Stanford that hasn't been there this half. And so I think that's important. If you're Stanford, you've got to try to get back to the line and keep your opponents off the line.
Well, how about the free throw difference for the game? 20 attempts for SMU, just 2 for Stanford.
Well, that's what SMU does. They try to get to the foul line. And even Kyle Smith says, we got to get to the line more. So he knows his team needs to get there more, and they're trying. But this zone defense has bothered Stanford. They've done a nice job of keeping Stanford on the perimeter and not letting Maxime Raynaud get in the flow.
Deep one for Agarwal. Blakes soars in. Second chance for Stanford. Blakes, corner pop. And Traore swings around the elbows and secures the miss. A high lob, Matt Cross. More free throws for SMU.
Well, Cross did a good job of, number 1, catching the ball, and number 2, drawing a foul. Great job of patience. Waited for the defender to come down and waited for him to get a piece of him. But, the free throw differential, Chris, has been monumental this game because Stanford has not gotten the line, and SMU's making a living there. They're continuing to attack the basket. Many of those attacks in transition off turnovers.
Hey, coming up next, Cooper Flag, number 2 Duke, welcoming Florida State at Cameron Indoor. We'll have it for you here, 7 p.m. Eastern on the ACC network and the ESPN app.
Well, if you're Stanford, you've got to get going now on the other end because you've been really stymied, but you've got to get your shooters. Agarwal, obviously Isaiah Sellers, they've got to knock some shots down to open up this zone a little bit, get the zone to come out and guard, give Maxime Raynaud some room to operate.
Do you feel like Stanford needs to be more physical here down the stretch?
I think so. Sometimes when you're playing against the zone, Chris, there's a misnomer to just say, well, I got to take outside shots. And there's really confusion in the zone. You can get to the line, you can split the defenders, and you can get to the rim. So I think they still got to continue to attack and try to get to the foul line against the zone.
Stanford only has 2 free throw attempts on the night. They're the top free throw shooting team in the ACC. Akpara throws it to the second row.
Well, that's the right look, though, Chris, in terms of getting the ball in the middle to Akpara. He just forgot to square up. He didn't really square his body up. If he had done that, he could have taken the ball to the basket, gone high-low, or made that same pass. Problem was his feet were facing the 10-second line, and so he never squared up. But that's what the zone does. It backs you up and gets you a little tentative, and you got to be just aggressive and fundamental against it.
Stanford's now given it away 12 times in this game. Good chunk of those here in the second half. Oquendo spins around on Sellers, and it rolls in.
Well, I don't know how he got the ball up and over Isaiah Sellers. He was defended pretty well, but he just managed to bully ball it up over the top and through.
Oquendo's been in double figures now, 7 of his last 8. Knocked away from Kamen, but a late whistle, a foul on SMU.
Well, they're going to get Benny Gealer back in the game for some shooting, but you like Oquendo and his ability to get into the paint and just go up over the top of Isaiah Sellers. That's strong. That's action. So you've got to get, you're as good as your last game. You've got to get this one, knock this one off, and then worry about those other games later. But they're playing with some urgency, especially in the second half.
Andy Enfield's team 25-14 over Stanford since the break. Benny Gealer back on the floor with 4 fouls. Shot clock's down to 5. Raynaud lets it fly. Last touched by SMU.
Well, SMU switched up, went back man-to-man, but they did a good job of trying to get it out of Maxime Raynaud's hand. But then they got down to a short clock and were very fortunate they keep the ball alive. Didn't get a good look.
Stanford's only scored 2 points the last 6 minutes, and Okpara reached in on and fouled.
Well, that's what Stanford needs to do, Chris. They need to get aggressive and attack the basket and switch the table a little bit here. Get to the foul line and get in the bonus.
Chuck Harris may have been hit on the side of the neck there as Cross re-enters for Andy Enfield. Maybe the right ear of Chuck Harris. Well, Okpara's not a little guy. It's like a freight train running at you at full speed.
Well, he's strong. Raynaud's working really hard for position underneath.
The turnaround right-hand shot over the top of Traore.
And he was rewarded. Stanford found their teammate. Boy, he was working hard for position. It's good to see his teammates give him a look. Now Stanford's got to play some defense, Chris.
Mom loves it. He's got 24 to lead all scores. Stanford back within 3. Edwards spinning. Gets it back from Cross. Working on Gealer with his 4 fouls. SMU turns it over. Last touched by Traore. Big stop for the Cardinal.
Yeah, how about the Cardinal playing some defense of their own? They're switching up. It's SMU Mustangs with the momentum defensively. Now Stanford with a big-time stop. Full court pressure still being employed by SMU. Maybe not so much for a steal, but to try to get a shorter clock on the Cardinal.
Gealer floats it across the floor. Oziah Sellers. 6 minutes to play in Stanford.
Yeah, zone defense back in play here.
Okpara out to Gealer. Deep 3.
Can you say Benny Gealer from 3? It's his 4th triple of the game.
Big shot, Benny. 64 is on the board. Cross lobs it inside. It bounces off for Traore, but he stays with it.
Great second effort.
And more second chance points for SMU.
That's just a big time play. You thought Stanford had him stopped, but Traore never gave up on that play. Now you see SMU now trying to go back to their zone. They're going to stick in the 2-3. They had some success there.
Here comes Okpara. Out to Sellers. One more. Gealer. It's Benny in the trees. Stanford by 1 inside of 5 minutes.
Gotta love it, Chris. He came to play today.
5 triples for the former walk-on. He has reignited Maples Pavilion. Matt Cross into his bag of tricks. Off the side of the rim. Benny might just pull one from here.
Well, he may have a heat check, but he's capable, Chris.
Raynaud faces up. Attacks Traore. Ties, 9 lead changes between the Mustangs and Cardinal as we stroll inside of 4 minutes. Good crowd on hand for Senior Day. Harris across the floor. Cross. Extra pass Oquendo. Late in the clock. It's Harris. Step back. Book it.
He's so good from there. Chris, he just knocks down shots. He's so steady, Chuck Harris, from the mid-range shot. Not much you can do. He gets over the top of you and shoots it with a lot of calmness, poise.
SMU back in front. Gealer glides. Finishes. It's Benny's world. We're all just paying rent.
Benny and the Jets. That was quick. That was a big-time move at causing SMU to burn a timeout to talk about it.
Benny Gealer has taken over down the stretch, and Stanford has a 1-point lead with 3:09 to play. Fun finish in store from the farm.
are going after it.
Well, you know what we can finally say? This is March.
This is March Madness. And I've been in the NCAA tournaments, Chris, and this has that flavor. Trust me, these teams can smell it. They want to get in the tournament, whether by at-large or entry, but they're playing at that level right now.
8 ties, 11 lead changes, and perhaps more to come here down the stretch from Maples Pavilion. Harris around the Yigitolu screen to the baseline, and he comes up short. Cross had it for a moment, but it ricochets to Raynaud.
Well, Stanford's done a good job of cutting down their turnovers, and if they continue to do that, they'll put themselves in position to win this game. But they've really struggled against the SMU defense, but lately they've done a really good job of not turning it over.
Benny Gealer has galvanized Stanford down the stretch. Raynaud still leads everybody with 24 points. Backing in the 7-2 center across the floor. Sellers catches, baseline in the air. It's good.
A nice job by Uzziah Sellers spotting up, and Maxime Raynaud finds his teammate. He's done that all year. Great passer out of the double.
Stanford by 3. Chuck Harris at the peak of the three-point line. Edwards knifes in, falling away. It bounces off. Sellers claims it.
B.J. Edwards had a really good look to the basket, just left it a little bit short.
Some extracurriculars between Yigitolu and Raynaud
they
after the missed shot, and the officials will stop play to look at it.
Yeah, they want to look at this, and you know, I really commend the officials. They could let some of this go, Chris, but you don't want to let it go because A, players can get injured, and B, this gives an advantage to one team. So you want to nip this in the bud. So they'll go immediately to the monitor and do the officials coming over to talk to us right now about it.
As we suspected, they're looking at the contact away from the basketball between the two big men. Samet Yigitolu for SMU, Maxime Raynaud for Stanford.
Well, I like the football image you just did there, Chris. You put the microphone right up to the officials and you let our viewers look at it. Look at it.
A very quick review.
Yeah, they nipped in the bud, but
nothing extracurricular.
No, but I like that officials do that. I like that they come over and inform us, or either go on the, the PA and do it, because I think people need to know.
And you have to give them kudos when they take care of it that quickly.
Yeah, no, they did it, and they nipped the bud. Here you can see it here.
They know Cooper Flagg's coming up next.
Yeah, well, there was the play. I don't think there was anything there. And again, it's not always intention. You hit somebody in the head area, Chris. It doesn't matter if it's intentional or not. You call it. But they said, look, there's nothing there. There was no contact to the head or the face, so we play on. Now, if you're Stanford, you're in a position to pull ahead here. You fought so hard to come back after you were ahead early by double digits. Now they're in a position to pull ahead themselves.
Stanford 15-2 on their home floor. This is the regular season home finale for the Cardinal. Agarwal barreling in, and a tough shot taken by Yigitolu inside.
He was trying to draw the foul, didn't get it, and ended up putting up a rush shot.
SMU secures a key stop. Yigitolu lost the handle. Oh, a critical turnover late.
Well, Maxime Raynaud is talking to his teammates, saying, great help. You were there with me. You didn't leave me on an island. I love it. Now, if again, here's a replay. Look at the help. You got Agarwal in there just making him think about it, turning them back to the middle. That's great help defensively. Now you're Stanford. You must continue to take care of the basketball. You're going to get pressed.
.65 seconds to play on the farm.
Yeah, no hurry if you're Stanford.
Corner pop, Agarwal off the front rim. Cross has it. Here's Chuck Harris, 3 for the tie. Off the heel, Edwards the second effort. Floater bounces off. A pair of misses, 8 seconds separate the shot clock and the game clock. Would you foul here if you were SMU?
Yeah, it's really tough to run it down when you're down 3. They're probably going to have to play a game and get a little more time possession, but now it's down to 10. Probably going to let it go now. It's kind of late to put the foul. The foul had to be earlier.
Gealer with 3 to shoot. Agarwal, dagger. You got it! He did it! Maxime, you are magnificent! A senior day slam!
Every night should be senior night, according to Maxime Raynaud. Can you believe it?
Back on the farm, 8.7 on the second half clock. The Cardinal have come on back here in the final minutes. 6 straight for Stanford, and the parents of the senior, Maxime Raynaud, playing his final game in this building. They can barely handle these final moments.
No, they're so emotional. We've spent time. I've gotten to know the Raynauds pretty well, and they're just so proud. But they're rooting for the team. They're rooting for their university, but they're happy for their son. Make no mistake about it. I mean, that's emotional. But how about the play that put this crowd and maybe this game out of the over the top? The dunk by Raynaud. I mean, just you couldn't ask for a better script for him to come back on senior day and just put an exclamation mark on this game. Not much you can do now if you're SMU.
He is tonight's player of the game, brought to you by Applebee's.
Even with a quick score here, and it's got to be quick, it's going to be tough for SMU to get back in this one. You don't want to foul, though. Stop the clock if you're Stanford.
Edwards taking too much time. It's going to run out on SMU. Stanford